climate action narrative in the world and make sustainable lifestyle a global mass movement. With these words, I extend my best wishes to all the people worldwide and hope that we can make collective and innovative effort to make our planet cleaner and greener. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I would now like to invite Mr. Bill Gates, co-founder Microsoft and co-chairman Gates Foundation, a humanitarian who's been a key supporter of environmental and climate causes through his varying initiatives, including the work on Nudge, which his foundation is undertaking in India. He joins us from Seattle.
Thank you, Prime Minister Modi, for inviting me to speak at the launch of this important initiative, Lifestyle for Environment Movement. This is a critical time in the fight against climate change. People all over the world are already being affected by a warmer climate. For example, we have seen impacts like the catastrophic floods and unprecedented heat waves that have struck India and South Asia in recent weeks. In a typical year, the world is still emitting over 51 billion tons of greenhouse gases. Countries like the United States need to take the lead in reducing these emissions and making sure there's technologies that make it easier for all countries to do the same. I'm inspired by India's leadership and efforts to curb the rise in emissions, and I was excited to learn about the LiFE movement and its potential to draw in the full power of collective action. To eliminate greenhouse gases, we need innovative technologies and participation from all. Ensuring that these breakthrough technologies will be widely adopted will require not only large investments and partnerships between the private and public sector, but also demand from individuals. Individual actions will send market signals that encourage governments and businesses to invest in these new climate innovations and create the breakthroughs we need. The demand will ultimately bring down the cost of these technologies, known as the green premium, making clean technologies more affordable and accessible to everyone. I congratulate Prime Minister Modi for taking the lead on this global initiative of citizen action to promote pro-climate behaviors. Together, we can build a green industrial revolution, one that stops climate change, protects vulnerable communities, and puts the world on a path to progress. The necessity for collective global action to address climate change has never been greater, and India's role and leadership are crucial in assuring we reach our climate goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bill Gates. I now welcome Professor Cass Sunstein, author of the Nobel Prize-winning Nudge Theory, and Robert Walmsley, Professor of Behavioral Science at Harvard University. His research in the field of individual and social behavior change has been globally acknowledged. He joins us from Boston.
Hello, it is a great honor to be with you today to celebrate the launch of the Lifestyle for the Environment movement. India and the Prime Minister have been world leaders with respect to environmental protection and climate change and human behavior. And many of us all over the world are looking to India for inspiration and ideas. To celebrate the launch, I'd like to speak a little bit about a framework which India has been using and which is being used all over the world for behavior change in connection with the environment and climate. It's called the EAST framework. It is an acronym, EAST. The E stands for easy, and the basic idea is if the goal is to help individuals or households or companies to choose an environmentally preferable approach, to make it easy is often the best thing to do. The A is for attractive. If we have spirited colors, if we have fonts and appearances that are attractive to people, then we're more likely to see behavior change. India and other nations have often used attractiveness as a signal to promote environmentally preferable choices. S stands for social. If we know the social norm is in favor of environmentally better behavior, or if we know people are increasingly engaged in environmentally preferable behavior, we will see more of it. It creates a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. Norms are essential for improving lifestyle. The T in the East framework is for timely. If people are given information or a reminder or a signal at exactly the right time when they're making the decision or maybe the hour before, it's more likely to be effective. That's the East framework. I'd like to add one letter to the framework. The letter is F, so we have a new acronym, FEAST, and the F is for fun. Often environmentally preferred behavior, better lifestyles, actually are fun. They make people smile. They make them feel they're contributing to their nation. We've seen this in India often in recent years. We've seen it in Europe also, and sometimes in North America. It is really an honor to be able to speak to you on this historic event, and I look forward to seeing new creativity and new initiatives with respect to FEAST. Actually are fun. They make people smile.
Cass Sunstein. The UN agencies are playing a leading role in combating climate change at the global level and are playing a key role in governments and institutions embracing environment-friendly solutions. I now call upon Ms. Inga Anderson, Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Programme, to make her statement. She joins us from Stockholm.
We're in the midst of a triple planetary crisis: the crisis of climate change, the crisis of biodiversity loss, and the crisis of pollution and waste. This is a crisis created entirely by decades of relentless and unsustainable consumption and production. Our current consumption patterns require 1.7 Earths to fulfill, but we all know this is not possible because we have only one Earth. How we live and consume matters, and matters greatly. I welcome the launch by the Prime Minister of India of the Lifestyle for the Environment, or LiFE movement, on World Environment Day. Because every person and every country needs to lead for the planet. With more than 1 billion people and home to a thriving generation of innovation and entrepreneurship, India is central to global environmental action. I look forward to following your progress as you launch this hugely important movement, because when India leans in, the world watches and follows. We at UNEP look forward to supporting the government of India and its people in pushing forward on the sustainable consumption and production agenda as India assumes the presidency of the G20 in 2023. Because we can all tread lightly on this planet and live in harmony with nature. Because we have only one Earth.
Ms. Inga Anderson, I would now like to invite the Administrator of the United Nations Development Programme, Akim Steiner, to deliver his remarks on the occasion of the World Environment Day and the global launch of the LiFE movement. He joins us from New York.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great privilege to join His Excellency the Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, and other distinguished guests for the launch of the Lifestyle for Environment Global Call for Ideas and Papers on World Environment Day. It takes place as the world came together at Stockholm Plus 50 to celebrate the world's many environmental accomplishments since the year 1972. In those 50 years, the world has concluded over 500 multilateral environmental agreements. Yet we all know we must do better as our natural world continues to be degraded and destroyed while climate change intensifies. The United Nations is working side by side with countries and communities, helping them to decarbonize and restore our natural world while driving forward human development. For instance, through our climate promise, UNDP is supporting over 120 countries to enhance and now implement their nationally determined contributions under the Paris Agreement. And countries like India are serving as a kinetic energy behind decisive climate action on the world stage. That includes its work through cutting-edge initiatives such as the International Solar Alliance, the Coalition for Disaster-Resilient Infrastructure, and One Sun, One World, One Grid, which aims for interconnected solar energy infrastructure at a global scale. Last year at COP26 in Glasgow, Prime Minister Modi advanced the idea of Lifestyle for Environment, or LiFE. It builds upon the idea that individual behavior and action are a key part of our collective climate responsibility. It aims to attract some of the world's very best solutions to drive climate-friendly behavior amongst individuals and communities, from grassroots innovators to academia to international organizations and beyond. As ever, please continue to rely on the support of the United Nations and UNDP as we help to make LiFE a global movement to change the way we live. Like nature, all of us must now be part of a metamorphosis to secure the future of both people and planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ackensteiner. Now let us hear from the institutions which are driving the global discourse on climate change. I would like to invite Mr. Ani Dasgupta, CEO and President of the World Resources Institute, WRI, to deliver his remarks. WRI has helped develop practical solutions to improve people's lives and works to ensure that nature thrives. Mr. Dasgupta joins us from Washington, D.C.
What a wonderful, wonderful occasion. It's a privilege to be part of it. I want to congratulate India and Prime Minister Modi for this exciting launch. And thank you for paving the way for a much-needed global movement, a much-needed global conversation on how we live, how we consume, how we take care of the planet. The science couldn't be clearer. We consume 100 billion tons of raw material every year as a planet today. Only 8.6% of it is circular or turns around. As you heard from Inger, there's not enough planet for us to live the way we live. It's clear circularity, or how we actually consume, how we live, has to be part of the solution. For us to get to from where we are in 2022 to get to 2030 or 2050 goals of the world, every lever of change has to change. That means also very much how we live, how we consume, how we take care of our lives is very important. So I can't overemphasize, Prime Minister, the importance you put to bring people to the movement, our lives to the movement. It doesn't mean consuming less for everyone. Prime Minister very correctly says, means thoughtful utilizations. It actually might mean consuming more for some. There are 800 million people in the world who don't have standard electric connection. It's thoughtful utilization. For 100 years, I think we have connected success or prosperity with consumption. I see this movement, Prime Minister, as reversing that and valuing taking care of the planet as success and prosperity. I can't overemphasize the importance of India launching this movement. India today is about consumes per capita 1/3 of the global average of consumption or emission. So where the world needs to go is towards where India is, not the other way around. And it's not just emission in India. India and his, ancient societies across the world, due to necessity and due to wisdom, have found ways to live with nature, to thrive nature, to take care of nature. That knowledge needs to be part of our collective knowledge now. We have made for a long time difference between what science is, and we have called it traditional knowledge. There is no gap. This needs to be actually connected together as our collective wisdom, how we can learn from history for multiple generations of knowledge. At WRI, I just want to say, we absolutely hear your call. We have set up a behavioral science unit. You've heard about not just now, how behavior science can help climate change. We absolutely work with Amitabh and his team on multiple things, including training the next generation of 5,000 leaders for your call to get where India needs to get to in Glasgow. I just want to say we absolutely need policy. We need finance. We need innovation, as Bill Gates just said. But what we need more than that as people, all of us, demanding more, demanding faster, cleaner world, faster change. So I just want to congratulate Prime Minister Modi for your call to change all of us from consumers to stewards of the world. This call could not be more noble or more timely than today. And stand by, I think all of us, especially WRI, to support you in every way we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dasgupta. I would now like to invite Lord Nicholas Stern, who's the chairman of the Grantham Research Institute on Climate Change and the head of India Observatory at the London School of Economics. Lord Stern is the global voice on the economics of climate change. I invite you, Lord Stern, to share your views with us.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for the honour of inviting me to be with you on this special day. Your landmark speech in November last year at COP26 in Glasgow set out an inspiring vision for a new path of development for India. It will be the development and growth story of the 21st century, both raising living standards across the whole community and, in your words, saving the future of our future generations. Let us make no mistake, unmanaged or weakly managed climate change would be devastating to the lives and livelihoods of our children and their children. India is actually vulnerable, and India's special position in the world profoundly influences what others do. At the heart of your vision, Prime Minister, is fostering sustainable lifestyles that are in harmony with and enhance the environment, in contrast to the inefficient, dirty and destructive models by the rich countries in the past. The creation of this new path will involve strong investment, innovation and action across the whole economy and society, involving all communities and individuals. We can and must change the way we heat and cool our buildings, how we move around, how we eat, we grow our food, and how we protect and invest in our precious natural capital on which our livelihoods depend. We must act strongly to use and reuse our resources much more efficiently and eliminate waste across the board. Most of this action will happen in households, in private firms and farms. The time for action is now. How can all this come about? Public action can and must enable and incentivize private action. For example, as we encourage more public transport, cycling and walking, we must invest in our towns and cities to make these possible. We must create the investment conditions and local infrastructure that can facilitate household and enterprise investment in solar energy or in precise and sustainable agriculture. I've had the privilege of working on and in India for nearly 50 years, and I've seen firsthand the extraordinary creativity of the of India, from small village to big city. They can surely realize this vision for a new lifestyle and stronger, sustainable and resilient development. The transition will require substantial investment from agricultural holdings to city metro lines. And the transition must be just to make the great opportunities available to all and to protect the vulnerable. All this requires finance, public and private, internal and external. Our own analyses at the London School of Economics on the necessary external finances for developing countries, majority private finance, are in broad agreement with the 1 trillion per annum you identified in your Glasgow speech. All friends of India must stand ready to support this vital new initiative. Thank you, Prime Minister, for your outstanding leadership.
Thank you, Lord Nicholas Stern. If individuals can make an impact, so can nations. For nations to make impact at a large scale, financing environment-friendly infrastructure projects is of essence, and World Bank is leading from the front. I would now like to invite World Bank President, Mr. David Malpass, to deliver his address. Mr. David Malpass is a distinguished global economist and joins us from New York.
Thank you very much. Honorable Prime Minister Modi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on the occasion of the World's Environment Day and in honor of Prime Minister Modi's focus on lifestyle for the environment and his call for papers, I'm guided to the ancient texts of India and enlightened by their great respect for the natural world and the environment. The words of the Rig Veda, the Yajurveda, and the Charak Samhita speak of trees removing pollution, of not disturbing the sky, and of the importance of forests to the strength of the state. The Bhagavad Gita also clear when it says, the environment is not ours to take or leave, it is ours to make. We can ask how, and the Gita speaks to our heart with prescience. Let the human community protect the environment for their own survival. In these words, I see a call for action, not inaction. I saw this urgency during my participation with Prime Minister Modi in 2019 at the Civil Service Capacity Building event in Gujarat. Mobilizing and empowering communities around sustainable growth and development is at the core of the World Bank's work and the Prime Minister's call for a movement of the masses against environmentally destructive behavior. I will focus today on the question of what the state can do to mobilize communities at scale for sustainable economic growth and development. To begin with, any mobilization of communities around development issues requires frontline motivators. India's Anganwadi workers who focus on children in rural areas, self-help groups of women mobilized around access to credit, and ASHA health workers. These are examples of frontline workers who are embedded in communities and work at scale. The Poshan program of India owes its success to the frontline workers fighting malnutrition affecting children, adolescent girls, and expectant mothers. Localizing decisions to the community level has been an important part of India's development philosophy. The White Revolution, which changed the dairy industry, was catalyzed by the cooperatives managed by communities. Similarly, the Swachh Bharat sanitation program relied on behavior change and community ownership of the mission. Mass action has been an integral part of its progress. In the context of adaptation to climate change, India faces one of its biggest challenges in the management of water and land. India is one of the most water-stressed countries in the world, with demand projected to nearly double by 2050. Faced with decades of over-exploitation of groundwater, India's Atal Bhujal Yojana is incentivizing communities to collectively take responsibility for groundwater management. Success will require behavior changes in agricultural practices, water conservation, and land preservation. To address the problem of the commons, it offers local decision-making where local administrations and communities jointly take responsibility for better water management, and with the goal of doubling farmers' incomes, improving water use